Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we'll be talking about a possible bug in the aim mechanics for McCree. Now before we begin, I'd like to thank a smaller YouTuber who made the original video that this one is based off. He sent it for us to look at and we thought it was indeed worth making a video about. His name is QASSM KX. There's an annotation on screen where you can visit his channel and subscribe to it. In his video he points out what will be the focus of today's video, as well as a few other thoughts about McCree. It's worth a watch, so check it out. Apparently there is a bug when firing McCree's Peacekeeper. We all know that the weapon has visual recoil that goes upwards and returns back down in time for the next shot, or a bobble as some people know it. It doesn't bobble back into place perfectly either, as IDDQD pointed out if you're holding the trigger down. What's apparent now though, is that if you try to compensate for the upward kick by dragging your mouse down, the bug will in fact stop your mouse input from registering. To be more accurate, the game will ignore your input if it doesn't move at a certain velocity. So if you're on a low sensitivity, which a lot of good hit scan players are, there's a chance you'll be dragging your mouse down but your reticle won't move, as you won't have moved it fast enough to break the threshold. I want to make this clear, this is only relevant for downwards input, other directions are unaffected. So what does this mean? Is it intentional? What are its limits and does it even matter what it is? Well, to show you, I'll side by side some footage of me pulling down on my mouse mat while my crosshair stays in the same place while shooting as McCree. This obviously isn't a scientific test, but it should easily be enough to demonstrate what's happening. In the original video, QASSM went as far to use a mouse script to ensure the movement was exactly the same every time. It's definitely a real phenomena, and the lower your sensitivity, the more it's noticeable. A quick note, a mouse script is where you can write code to automate functions that the mouse can perform at the press of any button. Some high-end mice manufacturers allow this functionality. In QASSM's test, he coded a downward movement at a fixed velocity so he could repeat the action to test it with different heroes. The McCree bug appears to function like a velocity cap. If you make a quick large movement like a downward flick, it overrides this and moves the crosshair. So with a much higher sensitivity, you will notice this much less. It also has less of a noticeable effect when tap firing, but it is still there. FREEDO has described it as being a downwards dead zone. That's actually quite a good analogy. Dead zones are used in controller thumbsticks to basically make them usable. There's areas where any input is ignored until it passes a certain threshold. The problem with having a dead zone in a precision mouse environment is that people train their aim with whatever settings they use, expecting a 1-to-1 input to output ratio. This is why people turn off things like mouse acceleration and turn on raw input. In short, you learn to know what amount of movement will get the desired result. You train until it becomes muscle memory. If that's off, micro corrections to your aim that everyone does will also be off. In the case of McCree, the adjustments players make downwards are subject to a filter, whereby the input they deploy will have a different result to other hit scan heroes. Now obviously people have either subconsciously adjusted or not even noticed at all. There are plenty of really good McCrees out there. Liam has even argued that probably in some cases it makes hitting successive headshots easier, as players can't actually mess up their headshot height aim as easily. However, I think it's fair to say that it could really mess up certain players' muscle memory, as they're expecting it to be raw aim input, but it actually isn't. So with having a good hit scan like Soldier or Widow, you might expect your aim to translate, but with this dead zone, it won't match exactly, throwing off your aim in certain cases. When you think about some of the duels McCree has to take in the game, like with a Pharah or a Genji, both of these heroes can be moving erratically in the vertical plane. If your sensitivity is being hampered in one of those directions, you could arguably be at a disadvantage. A possible solution. The truth is, with an aim-dependent hero, something that takes away a measure of the player's control isn't desirable, at least for some people. The bobble mechanic on McCree, where his crosshair moves up and down between shots, was designed to not make him overpowered. This downwards velocity cap feels like it's a set of training wheels incorporated to compensate for that. If that's the case, what's the point of the bobble in the first place? Really good hit scan players generally have top quality mice and peripherals that enable them to be as precise as possible. If you hamper that, especially at low sensitivity, then you're just getting in the way of someone's aim and muscle memory. Let's make the argument for a moment that it isn't a bug, that it's actually deliberate. If that's the case, then it should be a setting you can turn on or off. That way you don't mess up people if they find it conflicts with their control, and the people who are used to it can just leave it on, no harm, no foul. Without sounding really nerdy, there's a lot of people who have trained themselves at a certain sensitivity in games like CSGO. Take all of us on this channel for example. It's one of the challenges of PC gaming to get all your sensitivities to match across multiple games so as to not ruin your developed muscle memory. If there's an added barrier to having one-to-one control, it can be deeply frustrating. One thing that is certain to make you worse at aiming is to constantly switch between different sensitivity settings. But in a way, that's exactly what you'll be doing if you switch between Soldier and McCree on a low sensitivity. I'd argue there's no need for this, and I'm always in favour of putting greater levels of control in the hands of the player. Let us know in the comments if this is something you'd like to see fixed as well. If you like the video, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss one of our videos again, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in good company. Please check out our Discord where you can join one of the biggest Discord communities for Overwatch out there. If you want to see us tilt live for your enjoyment, please check out our Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description. Also, finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time!